Hi, I'm Captain Grant Coppin with Texas Fishing Tips, and this is your weekly fishing report.
Alright guys, this week again we've been catching lots of good redfish, fishing these flooded islands, anywhere you can find an island that's got lots of water going over the top of it. I've been sitting upwind of it with the strong winds and the rain and all the weather we've had, whether it's been blowing out of the north, east, south, it doesn't matter. Just sit upwind of these islands, and we've been catching a ton of reds with cut menhaden, cut skipjack, even throwing a live shrimp up onto the flat and just letting it sit there on the bottom, not under a cork, but on the bottom. And those fish are coming through. You know, the perch aren't too bad yet. The water's still a little bit cool. And catching a lot of fish in here. Not really doing a whole lot of drifting, but hitting those high percentage spots, catching lots of redfish. Back here in the canal, starting to see a few drums show up on the surface. You know, like I do this every year. You know, this is a great place to come back and get out of the wind, put the trolling motor down, and just come back here, look at those drum on the surface. Of course, when you get a ton of boats back here, they do get a little gun shy. But come back here, put a shrimp on a jig head, either chartreuse or pink, that hot pink, something in a bright color. Put a piece of peeled shrimp on it and just kind of let it float right in front of them. You know, just put it right on their nose, and they'll come and get it. Black drum don't have very good eyesight, which is why it's so hard to catch them on a lure. You know, it's got to be right in front of them, but they've got great sense of smell, and they can sense vibration really well. So you put that shrimp right in front of their nose and they will eat it. But this is where you can come in, put your trolling motor down, and just look for those big schools in here. Over here on the King Ranch shoreline, we've been catching good redfish. What we've been doing is, you know, throwing that cut bait. But because the tide is so high, you can't just stop anywhere. You've got to find where there's some drains on this shore. And there's all kinds of little back lakes that you can hit and pinches along the shoreline. But your baits need to hit in the sand. So get tight to the shore, as tight as you can get. Make sure your cut bait's hitting in the sand, whether you're using the cut menhaden or you're using cut skipjack. You know, also just throwing the shrimp on the bottom, and I'll put a 1/2 ounce egg weight and let it slide right up against the circle hook using like a 4/0 circle. You know, because the shrimp we've been getting some big shrimp lately, and just sling it way up into the sand and just let it sit there and catching tons of fish. Some of the spots we've been catching a lot of little reds, and some of the spots are nothing but big and oversized reds. So, you know, it varies up and down this shoreline. Some places have little rat reds filled with the back leg, and some of them nothing but big upper slot, good tournament fish in here. So tight to the shore and fish those back legs. Over here on the south shore of Baffin, with the water up, I've been getting up here as tight as I can to the shoreline, and I'll either drift out or I'll just kind of work it with the power poles. You know, that if the wind's real strong out of the southeast, I'll use my power poles more than I will drifting. If the wind's real light, I'll get up in here and just let the wind blow us out, because, you know, this edge here, in some places only 100 yards, in some places it's 300 yards. But even at 300 yards, it's not a very long drift. So you kind of want to stay in an area and work it real good. Throw a popping cork out there and only pop it ever so often. Throw in the potholes. You know, throw some cut bait out here on the flat. When you find sections of the flat that are really hot or have a lot of fish in it, we've been catching both trout and reds, and the trout that we've been catching in here are really nice, good, solid, you know, slot fish in the 17 to 23 inch range. Even catching an occasional big girl that, you know, we are releasing. And we're not keeping full limits of trout, even though you could in here. Still trying to be conservative minded. You know, there's plenty of reds to catch, letting those big girls go, keep a couple of trout for dinner, and catching a few black drum also right on the drop off. Live shrimp. Over here around Sandy Hook, been catching some good fish tight to the shore. You know, getting up here as shallow as my boat will allow me to float, and catching those redfish in the sand, right along where the grass and the sand meet. I've been throwing topwaters in here when the wind's not too bad. Of course, when you're crossing Baffin coming over to these Sandy Hook or Clayburg Point, you know, it can get really rough in here. So just be careful coming over here. I like to come over here when the wind's, you know, less than 10 miles an hour. It's a nice, easy ride. You know, you got a lot of open water. You can come up tight to the shore, throw those topwaters, and those redfish are just exploding on it, and some really nice trout. So if you want to catch some nice reds and some nice trout, this shoreline is a great place to go when the wind is under 10 miles an hour.
I'm Captain Grant Coppin. Thanks for watching.